Disney, a company that is known worldwide for its animated characters and amazing ability to collect as much money as humanly possible from anyone. But Disney is also well known for their expansive and beautiful parks, whose motto is the happiest place on earth. These parks are so extremely popular that if you took the two largest amusement park corporations' annual attendance and combined them together, it would still take 35 million more people to equal to Disney. But with plenty of success worldwide, the failures of Disney are talked about a lot less, including the first water park that was added to Walt Disney World, River Country, which Disney left to rot. Most people remembered River Country as a staple for the Disney World attraction lineup, given its lifespan of 25 years. But given the fact that it closed about 4 years before I spawned in, I hadn't really heard about it. So for anyone else who's in the same boat as me, or anyone who just doesn't know much about the park itself, let's look into it together. The park opened its doors for the first time in 1976. River Country was designed to look like an old-fashioned swimming hole. The park featured multiple attractions: the Upstream Plunge, which was a lung-shaped clean water pool, Slipper Slide Falls, which were two water slides that emptied out into the Upstream Plunge, a kids zone named Kiddie Cove that featured two large water slides and the cove itself, a bridge made of barrels called Barrel Bridge, which was similar to the pontoon bridge at Tom Sawyer Island, the Whitewater Rapids, which was along Innertube River, and one of the most notorious places at the park, Bay Cove, a half-acre sand-bottom lake featuring a tire swing, a boom swing, rope climbing, and a T-bar drop. The lake would use a unique filtering system using confluent water from the adjacent Bay Lake, which had been dammed off to create a natural-looking lagoon. The park's water level would be higher than the lake to avoid lake water entering the park. It also had a Whoop and Holler Hollow, which were two water slides that emptied out into the Bay Cove. The park also featured a small splash zone with fountains that would spray children. The area was mainly for guests under the age of 8. Outside of the regular water park features, the park had a nature trail and pony rides, as well as boat rentals. The park was fine initially, with children and parents alike loving it, but over time problems would arise. Just 4 years after the park had opened, an 11-year-old boy who had been swimming in Bay Cove would ingest a brain-eating amoeba and pass away. No backlash would come from this situation, given the fact that the amoeba could breed and survive in any freshwater lake during hot weather, and 3 other children had passed away from an amoeba in Florida in that same month. Disney would then make statements about conducting water quality control programs with water treatment officials. During that same decade, 2 other children would pass away from drowning, but none of these deaths would cause the park to close. Disney itself would lead to the closure of its own park, with them opening a second water park, Typhoon Lagoon, in 1989, the same year that the second child had died at River Country. This park would feature much more parking, many more slides, and newer amenities, as well as the park being much larger compared to River Country. And 6 years after that, Disney would open a third park, Blizzard Beach, which was also much larger than River Country. On November 2nd of 2001, the park would close, the attendance of River Country Park being squashed by the 2 other parks that had much more to do. But for those who loved River Country and enjoyed going to it, they had assumed that the park would just simply reopen the next summer. But in April of 2002, the Orlando Sentinel reported that Walt Disney's first water park, River Country, would close and may not reopen. Disney World spokesperson said River Country would be reopened if there was enough guest demand, but time would pass with nothing, until Disney would finally announce in 2005 that River Country would be closed permanently. The park would sit abandoned for years, rotting and being reclaimed by nature. The park was fenced off with signs and would eventually become a popular site for urban explorers that would climb the fences or just walk in through the backstage gateway. The River Country closing theme would still play in the park, and the lights are turned on automatically since Disney had never actually turned off the power to the park. In 2016, Disney announced that it would drain and fill the Upstream Plunge, and there were no immediate plans to tear down the rest of the park, leaving River Country as only one of 2 Disney parks that have permanently closed, the other being Discovery Island, which was built nearby on the lake. which had closed in 1999. In 2018, Disney would file permits for a mystery project labeled Project 89, which would be built along Bay Lake and over the former river country site. It was rumored that the project would be another themed hotel resort, or DVC timeshare. The resort would be confirmed 2 months after they had filed permits, and in 2019, the remaining structures at the park would be demolished to make way for the hotel. The resort would be nature-themed and called Reflections, a Disney Lakeside Lodge. But during the pandemic, the Walt Disney Park Division would halt all construction on Walt Disney World resorts, including the new lodge. The most recent updates coming in 2022, where the opening date had been either delayed or scrapped entirely given Disney's financial stability. As of mid-2022, the construction on the hotel had completely stopped. So, from what was at one point the only water park at Walt Disney World, and one of the parks that had revolutionized water parks as a whole, to becoming completely abandoned by the same people that had built it years before, left to be reclaimed by nature until it was eventually torn down in an attempt to make more money. A park once remembered fondly by those who had spent their time enjoying it is nothing more than dirt, trees, and grass today. With all that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I took a little bit to work on it, and I actually am really happy with how it came out. So I hope you did enjoy it as well. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, make sure to subscribe. If you want me to maybe do some research into Discovery Island, I'll make a part 2 to this video if it gets 50 likes. With all that being said, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.